Aita for wanting to leave my wife of almost 8 years. Should I stay? Or should I go? The clash could not have better expressed the emotions I am currently experiencing as a 29-year-old man. I intend to keep this brief. I have not been the most commendable husband over the years. I have argued and yelled at my wife, who is 28 years old, and we have fought over trivial matters in the past. I acknowledge that I can be difficult, but I have genuinely worked hard to improve this part of myself throughout our almost 9-year relationship. In October 2024, I had an angry outburst that reduced her to tears because I mistakenly believed she was giving me attitude when I mentioned that she treats me like a punching bag after her work shifts. I shouted, and I cursed at her as well. I ultimately apologized for my outburst and began attending counseling to address the situation. I genuinely love her and want to strengthen our relationship. However, things deteriorated further during my counseling sessions. I started to notice inconsistencies in her behavior. According to my counselor, she always tried to manipulate every situation to provoke me, accusing a partner of infidelity jokingly for 3 years straight and saying things like, "You do not love me. You think I am unattractive," have not strained our relationship. That, along with her dubious allegations regarding the women I supposedly communicate with. My loyalty remains unwavering, and I believed that when we made those vows, I would uphold those values. She attributes her behavior to past relationships and how I treated her, along with other reasons that I will not disclose for her privacy. She lost a significant amount of weight and began exercising more. Recently, she has been extremely concerned about her appearance, posting on social media to create a sexy image. I understand that women often want to do that. It's common. I browse these sites and see numerous women doing the same. It's not a big deal. Recently, I attempted to contact her during her work break, but she did not respond. I tried to dismiss my concern, but something felt off. We usually spend breaks together at home, so I decided to confront her about it. When she returned home, I asked her what she wanted for dinner. She replied, "I am not very hungry. I had lunch during my break." I inquired further, "Oh really? Who did you have lunch with? Just yourself?" She answered no, stating she was with a coworker. I asked, "Oh, with Miss?" as these were ordinary names she mentioned. She simply said no. When I pressed again, she replied, "A coworker." This back and forth occurred a few times before I finally suggested that she didn't want to tell me because it was another man. She admitted that it was true, stating she was afraid I would become angry about it. Oh wow, suddenly everything made sense. I then asked her what she ate. She said, "We had salads at Salata. I intended to call you back when we left, but it took too long to get our food, so we ate and left." I asked her if that was the reason she had been so eager to work out lately and slather so much makeup on before going to work. Her ridiculous response was, "I am joking. There was never any guy. I just wanted to see how you would react." Quite the joke. Fast forward to the present. My suspicions have heightened significantly since that incident and the bizarre changes in her social media behavior. She recently reconnected with some old friends, and I genuinely believe she needs friends to socialize with. She was invited to celebrate with them at a club for her birthday. I stayed home with our 2 children while she went out and returned around 12:30 to 1 o'clock a.m., which was fine with me. She later invited me to another outing at a club with her friends. I dislike clubs, but overall, it seemed normal. Then her friend invited her out again, and this time, she insisted that I come along. I went with her, and when we arrived, there were 2 other men present, which I found odd since her friend had only mentioned meeting one other guy. We all had a few drinks, and then I stepped outside for a cigarette. When I returned, they were ordering drinks for the women. I allowed it to pass a couple of times but began to feel uncomfortable. So I bought 2 rounds for everyone and politely told the men, "I will buy my woman drinks. If you would like to buy her friend some drinks, feel free." Maybe I was being a little insecure. I genuinely do not mind. I stepped outside for another cigarette, and when I came back in, I found my wife and one of the men engaged in a conversation and overheard him say, "Well, you know where I am." About an hour later, we left, and she remarked that my behavior ruined the vibe and we were all just trying to have a good time. I replied that if she wanted to drink, she should do so with me, not with random guys at the club. Moreover, if she wished to have a conversation with someone, she should not wait until I left to have that moment. We argued a bit and went home, where we ended up going to sleep. This is where things become complicated. I have tried not to be overly insecure about what I have observed, as I know I am not to blame. The other night, she said she wanted to have dinner at a restaurant with a friend. I agreed, although I felt uneasy after the club incident. She left and mentioned that an Uber would take her to the restaurant, which is unusual because she usually drives. I chose to give her the benefit of the doubt and decided to FaceTime her to check in. She did not answer but texted, saying she was looking at the map and would call me back. She never did. At around 11:30 p.m., I asked her to come home. I felt her behavior was abrasive, and I didn't appreciate her lack of communication while she was out. She mentioned she was taking an Uber home. When I asked where she would be dropped off, she said, in front of 300. I went to the front of our condo complex and waited about 20 minutes but did not see any Ubers pass by. Suddenly, she emerged from beside the mailboxes, looked at me, and walked slowly toward me. I asked her how her night was and what she ate. Red snapper and shrimp, she responded. I said that sounded lovely and proceeded to question her about the Uber and why she had lied about being dropped off in front of the car. She claimed that the Uber driver did not listen and took her to the front instead. During the 20 minutes I watched, no Ubers passed through the neighborhood. I asked to see her receipts. She then revealed she had been picked up by her friend. I did not buy it. She received a text from her friend, and I took her phone, held it to her face, and said, "Your friend just texted you and it unlocked." I attempted to access her messages, but she fought me and tried to restrain me. Essentially, she tried to physically confront me over her phone. I locked the phone and let it fall to the ground. I told her I hoped she was satisfied with whatever she was concealing and went to sleep. The following day, I waited to see if she would delete her messages so I could recover them. I found texts from her friends telling her to lie about her whereabouts that night. Additionally, I discovered she had gone out without my knowledge while I was out of town on business in Los Angeles due to the fires, not to mention the troubling activity on her Snapchat. 8 men she attempted to connect with 8 different men and conversed with a few. I cannot imagine what truly occurred the night she assaulted me. I am left with all this evidence and have confronted her about everything, but she insists it is simply a misunderstanding. She claims she did not want to be embarrassed about me walking her to the car and that I would not approve of the friend she was with because I was unfamiliar with her. I am still angry a week later and do not know how to proceed. They plan to invite me out again in a couple of weeks. I cannot stand the thought of being around her intolerable friends, who would lie to me despite my 8 years of marriage to their friend. She has placed the blame on me, asserting that after the numerous arguments over the years, she felt tired and believed I did not love her, so she sought to converse with other men. I am deeply hurt and furious about this. I honestly do not know what to do and prefer not to involve family or friends just yet. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for being pissed at my mom constantly bringing up my sex life? My mother and I, 18 years old female, usually take long walks to express our feelings about the world. Today's walk began pleasantly since it started snowing halfway through. I expected it to remain special until things took an unexpected turn. My mother started complaining about my father doing something ridiculous when the conversation shifted from her relationship to my own with my new boyfriend, Jax, 19 years old male. Jax is my first boyfriend, and he is incredibly sweet, as well as extremely patient and supportive. I began discussing how happy I felt with him when, out of nowhere, she remarked, "Be careful about getting pregnant." Now, some context is necessary to help explain why this frustrates me so much. I have told my mother that I identify as asexual. Please refrain from commenting, "Oh, you're still young," or "You haven't found the right person." I am simply not interested in sex. I love romance, but to me, sex feels more like a chore and is even unpleasant, despite any aspect of pleasure. I have no desire for it because it seems that once it enters a relationship, it can either strengthen or ruin it. This is just my personal view. Please don't be offended or argue. It may work for you, but it doesn't work for me, and that's perfectly fine. Fortunately, my boyfriend is asexual as well, and he cannot have children, which solves any concerns I have regarding pregnancy. Returning to the topic, I attempted to clarify to my mother that I am asexual and have no interest in sex. Her response was, "Is it because you were assaulted by your friend? Is that why you think you're bisexual too?" Even now, it devastates me to hear her suggest such a thing. I have been attracted to women since middle school, but because I was also attracted to men, I did not find it necessary to act on it until my first girlfriend, for whom I came out, which sparked this conversation. She truly believes that my attraction to women and my asexuality stem from being assaulted by a woman at most. She thinks my bisexuality is comparable to her celebrity crush on Angelina Jolie, specifically in Tomb Raider. Things became even more complicated when my first girlfriend turned out to be straight after 6 months, while I ironically discovered I am happiest with my new boyfriend. I want to scream at the top of my lungs. She goes on and on about how having a child now would be difficult due to child support and economic issues that could jeopardize my life. Yet she claims she will support both me and the child. I attempt to interject several times, saying, "Mom, please stop," or trying to lighten the mood with, "I'm not the type of girl to want that," or even, "You know I'm smarter than that." But she just won't stop, as if she needs to convince herself that she can support me through becoming a parent. I remember her mentioning my situation during my long-distance relationship with my ex, saying, "You need someone closer to experience true love and sex," to which I replied that I did not care about sex. Then she told me my relationships would only be friendships. I then questioned if her relationship with my father was just a friendship. Let's just say she was furious that I referenced her marriage for no reason. Anyway, am I the unreasonable one for being angry? I have dealt with this for years. Even if I wanted to be sexually active, it pains me that she does not trust me to use protection. I explained to her when I was single that I was content being bisexual, as I would not have to worry about pregnancy with women, and that was probably the only time my mother accepted my bisexuality. Oh, and when she asked, "Is your boyfriend transgender? If he is, then I won't have to worry about you getting pregnant." Did I mention that I told my mother I want to adopt because our family is known for experiencing miscarriages and having weaknesses? I also have a stress disorder that makes me faint and a low tolerance for pain, making it even more challenging. It is better to provide a home for an already born child. I genuinely have no desire or reason to get pregnant, but my mother disregards this. She never listens to me or respects my feelings on the matter, and it is incredibly frustrating. I don't even want to tell her that Jax is incapable of making me pregnant, as somehow she would still find a way to bring it up. I have witnessed so many of my friends' parents lash out at them for sacrificing their 20s to raise them. I love children, but that is a problem for me when I am 30 years old. I completely lose my sanity when I'm with my mother. I feel as if we only get along well when we're apart. We get along better as friends than as a mother-daughter duo. Edit 1. First of all, thank you for all the feedback and support, everyone. This is truly uplifting for me. I must address why I am so upset beyond the topic of my sex life. I attempted to find another job to save up for college and a car, but she stresses me out by saying that the insurance will increase if I get a car, which is why I didn't get my license, and insists that I wouldn't be able to handle a job and that I should stop stressing her and my father. Mind you, I quit my last job because they never scheduled me. I emailed and even visited the store multiple times. Do you know what they did? They sent me home early because there were too many employees, and I was the newcomer. I even faced harassment when I tried to do another employee's job, to the point where one employee yelled at me in front of a line of customers. I ended up quitting after 3 weeks of not being scheduled and not getting paid. Yet my mother claims I just couldn't handle it and that all jobs are the same. She does not want to drive me to work, but doesn't feel comfortable with me using a rideshare service or getting a ride from someone else. Then she gave me the silent treatment until she could vent about her coworkers, my father's affection, and her unhappiness. I am working on saving up to buy a computer by helping my dad, so I can try to work from home until I graduate or get my father to assist me in convincing her to stop her nagging. But my father's response to all of this was, "Well, your relationship with Jax isn't going to last anyway, so you'll save some money." I think I might need that therapy session sooner than expected. But thank you all. I've been sobbing while writing to a bunch of strangers and just zoning out with my cat on the couch because today has been overwhelming. I would not recommend it to anyone.